is so strong. Three, two, one.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us?
Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Oh, good evening. Shall we begin? I still like that intro. I love the music. I love how Howie O'Dell put his little spin on that and the little explosion. I still like the explosion. I can't get over the explosion. Welcome to another Monday night edition of Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. My name is Joni Skinner, and welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Monday evening. You know, Mondays are bad. I kind of wish it was like I did the show like on Thursday evening, because then it would be like, oh my God, we're done. Tomorrow's Friday. But instead I get Monday. So it's like we're all still kind of like, well, we made it through Monday. Now we still got the rest of the week. But if you tune in to R.I.F.T Nation, we've got you covered. We've got almost every day. We're getting there. We have so many shows now. I have to make a list. That's crazy. And we keep getting more and more. So just a shout out to all of the hard work that producer Susan and Hitman Howie O'Dell. I mean, they have just, we are cranking on R.I.F.T Nation. So let me give you the lineup before we get started this evening. And I wanted to also let you all know that next week we have a missing mother with 3 small children missing in Virginia, actually right now in Virginia. I'm going to cover that case next week. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But before we get started, let's go over the great R.I.F.T. Okay. And Susan, do you have a guest? No, it's just me, Susan. Unless you want to come on and be my guest, you're more than welcome to join me. You are more than welcome. Okay. And okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, no, we have, we need to fill Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but you're on Wednesday now at 11. So Wednesday is good. So, and we'll talk about Howie O'Dell's new show, Hitman's new show. So, but here we go, you guys. So on Sunday, we have the Orion Effect with Miss Rhonda and Hitman O'Dell. The Hitman. I kind of like the Hitman. That's kind of a cool name. And then, of course, on Monday, True Crime with me, 7 p.m. And then every other Monday, The Otter's Den with myself and Keith, where we go over, astrology for the week, upcoming astrological information. That's every other Monday on The Otter's Den with Sir Keith. Then on Tuesday, we have Raven's Flock. And that is Miss Susan, where she does readings, information on chakras, spirituality. She is the Celtic psychic medium. So join her every Tuesday at 8 p.m. right here on the Nation. Then on Wednesday, we have Hitman at 11 a.m. and join him at lunch or check his show out in the evenings. So I work during the day, so I will listen to his show in the evenings on Wednesday evenings. Current news, social media news, 11 a.m. every Wednesday with Hitman Odell. And then, of course, every other Friday, we have Cat Lady Poetry with, I call her Adriana, and I know it's not Adriana, it's Adriana. It's Miss Adriana. Cat Lady Poetry, beautiful stuff. Give her a listen as well. Then the first Tuesday of the month at 9:30 p.m., we have the Lisas and Mystic Mayhem. And then the first Saturday of the month, Paranormal Outlaws, Keith, Renee, and Hitman. Okay, just ignore the pinging in Messenger, LOL. Oh, whoops. Just ignore the pinging in Messenger too, please. And I think I got them all, didn't I? Oh, and then the Love Shack at 11 a.m. And Howie, here we go. The show is called What's Going On? How? And and the fact of the matter is everybody is tuning to alternate media now. So if you want factual media, all the information, tune in at 11 a.m. on Wednesdays for What's Going On. Stay up with the news. And Jim Livingston as well with Paranormal Outlaw. I told you all, we have so many shows going on. I do have notes, and I thought, all right, I'm going to be very careful I don't forget anybody, and I did. So I suck at life today. Jim Livingston, you're a doll, and I'm sorry. So I think I got all the shows, didn't I? Yes. Okay. I think I did. So just join us. We got you covered. And everything from true crime to news to poetry to psychic readings, you name it, we've got it. And another big announcement today is that, I know a lot of us listen to podcasts during the day. We listen to podcasts in the car. Spotify is my go-to. We now will have RNN on Spotify. So give that, a week or two for Susan, the producer, to get everything organized, uploaded, downloaded. And we won't be live, but the shows will be downloaded on Spotify. That's exciting news because right now, currently, we stream on Twitch. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And hopefully next week on TikTok as well. So we're working on getting the TikTok account up. And then, we may need some mods over at TikTok. We've got about 1,300 followers over there for RNN on TikTok. Please follow us on TikTok. If you are, I know if you're on TikTok, it's RNN. So I think that's about all the kind of cleanup stuff I was going to do, unless Hitman can think of anything else he wants to pass along to everybody. But welcome tonight on Monday Night for True Crime. I thank you for listening. And also, if you're listening during the week, I appreciate it. And thank you, because I do get your PMs. I do answer questions. So let's see. Facebook user. See, I was watering my garden from my chairs. I was literally on Spotify to one of your prior true crime podcasts. Really? Well, that's fantastic. Which one? I mean, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And please, and another thing, go back onto Spotify and please review some of the old true crime Mysteries Beyond the Veil, because in October, I'm going to have the families that were on prior shows. They're going to come on, and we're going to have updates on their cases. So, were there any searches? Where's the case now? Is there any new information that they want to share with us? Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. It was Lexi. It is Lexi. It was Debbie and Lexi. Lexi is missing. She's down in Tennessee. She is currently still missing. I do keep in touch with Debbie, as all of my families. They're my family now. So I would love to get some updates on Lexi, and she is missing, continues to be missing. Unfortunately, she has not been found. So thank you for listening to the older episodes. It's wonderful. But if you get a chance, get on Spotify, or I assume they're still on the old Blog Talk archives, and pick up with some of those shows, because like I said, I will have folks on there. I will have an update on Lexi on her case. She's down in Tennessee. But again, next week, I will be bringing you information on Lauren Cook. She's a mother of 3. It's young, very young children missing in Franklin County, Virginia. She's in a 2013 Chrysler van, blue, missing without a trace. Her husband is very upset. This was not a situation, as far as law enforcement knows, where the mother took off with the children and there was, a separation involved. It's just a very mysterious missing persons case. So I will bring you the case of Lauren Cook, mother of 3, missing in Virginia, next Monday. Now, if she's found, we're still going to review the case and go over the astrology, find out what the astrology may have told us, and what information that we can glean out of the astrology. Hello, Miss Rhonda. And don't forget, Rhonda, the Orion Effect with Hitman, every Sunday evening with different guests, different information, from Bigfoot to paranormal to you name it, they cover it. Psychics. It's a great show, great Sunday evening entertainment. Now, tonight, I'm going to answer one of your main questions that I get all the time. How accurate is forensic astrology? Do you find people? That's the number one question that I am asked. Does forensic astrology find people? The answer is yes. As you all, if you tune in, I do work with search and rescue groups, mainly search and rescue groups. Tammy is on here a lot. Tammy has, her canine, and she also has horses. She is in search and rescue in southern Texas with the horrific heat. But I do, and I work with Michael Hansel with Peace River Canine. So yes, I do work with search and rescue. Yes, we do work with law enforcement, and yes, we do find people. Yes, the answer is yes. I think we have found about 6 or 7 people so far this year. And, it gives closure to the families. That's what we are looking for. Oh, hello, Miss Linda. This is Linda, by the way. Hi, Miss Linda, my partner in crime. And so that's to answer a question. Yes, people are found with forensic astrology. And also, how close, we're going to review the Cavalcante, the escaped prisoner in PA. I highlighted the astrology charts, and of course the main chart I forgot to put in the charts in the slideshow, but I'll show it to you on my phone. Then I'm going to show you how I do it, how I do forensic astrology. That is a huge question. How do you do it? You talk about charts, you talk about mapping. Show us how you do it. You say it's easy. Okay, show it to us. So I answer your questions, and so that's what we're going to do tonight. So stop me if you have any questions along the way, because I'm sure you will. Forensic astrology is not complicated. If I can do the math, and I hate math, anybody can do it. So let's pull up the slides and just do kind of a little recap on, I'm going to put it up big if you all don't mind. And then that way y'all can see it better. Okay. This is just, as you all remember, we had convicted murderer who was arrested in Virginia, Cavalcante, where he escaped in PA August 31st. And we tracked him literally. I tracked him literally for 2 weeks. He was missing. Well, I didn't know if forensic astrology would work by tracking somebody. We have found out, yes, it does work. And it worked very well, very accurately. Actually, it went to the spot that they found him in. That's how accurate it was. I think there were like 4 charts that I did along the way. Every time there was a spotting or a sighting of him, I would compose a chart. The chart goes into a mapping, which I'm going to show you all later on how that's done. Very, very easy. Cavalcante escaped and crab clawed up the prison walls to escape. And that's how he got out. And he avoided law enforcement from August 31st till about last Tuesday, I believe, or last Monday. So he was on the run for quite a while, and that is the prison where he escaped in Chester County, PA. So here's the picture of him literally crab clawing up the wall. He was 5'2", 120 pounds. What's very odd about this is everybody has, oh, hi Keith, everybody has said, oh, look at that guy to the right. I wonder if he was a lookout. I don't know. We don't know that, but everybody has made that comment. He just shimmied right up the wall, went across the roof, and escaped. But you know what's funny? When you're 5'2", and searchers are looking for you, and think about this for a minute. When you're 5'2", and I don't, 5'2" is short. Trust me, I know. I'm 5'2". If the average searcher is probably 6 foot tall, 5'7", 5'8" men out there, police, law enforcement, they're looking up. They're looking at, nobody ever bothered to look down for him. Cavalcante, in his interview with the police after he was caught, said that they walked right by him on 3 occasions. And one time they were about 7 yards away and almost stepped on him. So I thought, wow, what was he doing? So I thought, well, no wonder he was little. He was hiding, probably at ground level. Again, the astrology charts told us he was on ground level. Let me try to make this bigger so you can see it better. I think I've got it the biggest it'll go. I think I've got that the biggest it'll go. Hi, Kelly. So this was if you can look at all of the pink markings, this is the escape map. So clearly we can see he is going to take off, and he was in the prison. He's violent. He was caught on camera. That was the very first chart that I comprised of Cavalcante. So I did the mapping. And again, I'm going to show you the mapping. This is where he ended up, at a place called Longwood Gardens. Beautiful place in Chester County, PA. This is the very first map that was composed of Cavalcante using the morning time when he escaped, because we have to have what's called an event chart, and we have to have an accurate time of when he escapes. So if you can tell on the chart in the middle, that is the jail. The jail is in the middle. Well, sure enough, the lines where the little red dots are right at Longwood Gardens. So number 1 chart was completely accurate to, okay, I'm going to make this bigger so I can see it as well. Okay, number one thing, there's the chart. There's where he went down to Longwood Gardens. Completely accurate. And the next slide shows you a little bit closer up. There's Longwood Gardens and you can see how close the mapping shows us. Okay, this is the next sighting of where he was. This is the very first sighting of Cavalcante. So if you look over to the left where the black arrow is, again, it shows his description: short, bearded, short legs, thick hair. That's his description to a T. And that is the description of a Taurus, somebody in the house of Taurus. That's where he is. The other blue line to the left, the other blue arrow, he is headed north to someone's house. How do we know that? Because the chart tells us he's going to see a female. She's in the 4th house, which is the home. North is Leo. Leo is represented as the north. So we knew he was going to head north. He is at a place in the 5th house, which is the other blue arrow, which is Longwood Gardens. It's a fun spot. That's Longwood Gardens. That's a fun place to go to. Everybody goes. Okay, so the next one is another mapping that I did. That if you look to the left and you look to the right, all of the yellow dots are sightings of Cavalcante. They matched exactly. Now you can imagine that I didn't know if this would work or not. Now this is where he was captured on camera. So there we are. Hi, Kelly. Let's see. And this actual map shows you the police presence and what was up in the air looking. Okay, and then this is our next chart. This was a chart where we've got at 10:28 p.m., September the 9th. This is when he was actually caught on circuit camera. He's still in the woods. Looks like he's still with that Mars with the pink arrow going over to the 5th. He's a dangerous man. He's again, Neptune says cameras. He's caught on camera again. He's hiding in the woods. Taurus. Easy. This is when he headed up to Bonnie Bray. Okay. The 4th house, someone's house. He's going to message or drive. Mercury represents a car. Look, what did he get a car for? And also, he's standing in the 4th house next to an older man. Next to the other arrow in the 5th, in the house that's marked 5, is Mars. Mars can represent violence. It can also represent weapons. So what's he up to? Well, I'll tell you what he's up to. Here's all where he was seen. And again, where the chart was, where he was running, and that's where the chart found him the whole week. He went to Bailey's Dairy and he stole a van. This is still around the Longwood Gardens area, as we all know that. So here he is caught on the ring cam up north, and that's where his sister lived. So if you recall, one of the charts told us he was going to head north, and it looked like a female was involved. This was at a co-worker's home. He was not home, the co-worker. The van was found in this area, wooded area, heavy woods, and it was out of gas. So now this is the final chart that I did for him. And the final chart is when he actually went and he told the police that he staked out this area, staked out this house, found the gentleman in the garage. The gentleman, and he knew there was going to be a gun, which we saw Mars, which could have been a gun. He knew the gentleman was that there was a gun apparently in the garage. Took the gun. The gentleman who owned the home shot 7 times at him. We don't have a lot of details about that, but we do know he wasn't shot. He took the .22 rifle and left and hid. So this brought on the final chart. And here is the final chart for Cavalcante. He was hiding, 12th house in the woods, still big wooded area, because Jupiter is next to Uranus. He was snuck up and surprised on. He had the gun from the older man's house. We saw that on the chart. And the police, represented by the sun or heat, are hooked up with Neptune, which is a camera. Well, guess what caught him? Thermal imaging. So sure enough, through a lot of due diligence, the police found him. Now, this is the last chart that I did for Cavalcante. And I did have the perfect chart to put in the slides. And I don't know why I didn't put it in the slides, but I'm going to pull this down and show you all on the camera, because I made it very pretty too. I'll show you. Let me see. Okay, here is, I hope you can see it. There is the final chart I did of him. I'll show it to y'all next week too. It was at the exact spot he was found. So he was found directly where the astrology told us. And, that's kind of a recap of Cavalcante, just to kind of to give that to people that are not familiar with the Cavalcante case. But sure enough, I did learn that you can track people. So we're going to try that again with our van of Lauren, who's missing in Virginia with the 3 children. So how does this work? Okay, here's the absolute, this is the mapping where the thermal imaging was northwest. And of course, the 2 stars they ran him down south because a storm came up and they had to take the chopper down and could not continue with the thermal imaging. So where he was found. So just for how do I do this? To the left are the calculations for the evening that the firearm was stolen. As you can see, every planet has a degree mark next to it. For example, the sun on that evening was at 19 degrees of Virgo. Now, this is how I do this. It was at 19 degrees of Virgo. The moon was at 16 degrees of Leo. Now, forensic astrology uses the charts like what we saw, and it's called an event chart or the last seen chart of the person. Now, if you've ever heard of horary, and I know Keith is probably laughing, horary, it's an old ancient, it's the old ancient ways of astrology. Of, say, for example, if I lose a watch, we will cast what's called a horary chart. And that can tell us where the watch is. Now, Kirsty McIntosh in 2017 was contacted by a woman whose niece had been missing for 6 months. Her name was Jessica Runyons. Kirsty McIntosh is the world-renowned expert on forensic astrology, and she happens to be many of our instructors that study forensic astrology. We just worship her teachings. Now, I don't know if you all had heard of a case, Jessica Runyons and Kara Kapitsky. They were two missing girls, and they were both killed by the same gentleman, a serial killer, years apart. Kirsty found those two missing girls, and they were found identically on a degree in Venus on one of the lines that I always talk about, the lines. So I have learned from the best. That was a very famous case that Kirsty was instrumental in. Now, this is just a regular astrology chart. It's divided by 30 degrees. So what we do is we assign each, and this never changes. Aries is always at 0 degrees. Taurus is always at 30 degrees. Gemini, 60. Those are the numbers that I use to calculate where I'm going to make a map. It's that key. Every slice of the pie is 30 degrees. So you do your chart. We do the chart, and now that provides clues, but most importantly, it turns into the mapping. That's what we need. There are 4 houses in forensic astrology that we look at. The first, the fourth house is popularly called the womb to the tomb. It's the end of the matter, or astrologists will call it the IC. It's the cusp of the 4th house. That is where the end of the matter is. That is the line. The end of the matter line is where Cavalcante was found. He was found on that line. Now, when we look at a forensic chart, the ascendant, or the first house, is the person, the victim. Directly opposite of that, at the cusp of the 7th house, is the perpetrator. So whoever is there, I will know to go look for them. Let's say, for example, Libra is in that 7th house. I will go and look for Venus. Venus is the ruler. Wherever Venus is in that little chart tells me who the perp is, what they look like, what they were doing. If the perp, and 9 times out of 10, the perp is right next to the victim. If that happens, there was a confrontation and they knew that they were being murdered, or a confrontation was going to occur. We get the story out of the chart, but it's for the mapping to find the people. That's what we do forensic astrology with. So that's the mapping. So I will take this key, like I showed you from the beginning, right here, and the sun will be at a specific degree, and it's in Virgo. Virgo is, I think, 150 degrees. I will take the 19 degrees plus 150. That's what I come up with. So I go down and I do that for every single planet. And I also use fixed stars as well, but stars don't go in the mapping. It's just the planets. So then I've got all of my calculations. Now I'm ready to map it. So it's not that hard. So this is another case I did. And as you can see, where the lines match up, or spots where this little boy was found. He was found in a plant, in like a sanitation plant, where he was thrown in a dumpster. The lines went right to the dumpster, and they also went to the sanitation plant where they found the child's body as well. So as you can see, when we do a map, you can mark where some of the clues were, and that's another chart as an example. Okay, so we use scribble maps, and as you can see, I've already got one of my calculations. So you put in scribble maps, we do our circle, and that's done on mileage. It's either the ascendant and the IC. It'll be at 20 degrees. We take that and consider that to be 2 miles. It could be 20 miles, or it could be 200 miles. So we have to determine that on our own. What's the mileage here? So then you just put that calculation in, and you take your tool and you draw it according to the bearing that you can see. It's longitude, latitude. The bearing at the bottom is the line that we use. So for example, if it's Virgo by 19 degrees, the bearing could be, let's say it's 151. That's where the line would go. That's how simple this is. It's not tough. It's not hard. Do you need knowledge of astrology? Sure, absolutely, because it's important to know astrology when you're looking at the chart. But mapping, no, you can have a certain sense of math or different information, and that's how I map. So that's kind of a breakdown of it. I hope that answers some questions. And if you guys have any questions, please ask me. And Kelly, how much do you charge for an astrology chart? You can PM me on Facebook. I'll talk to you there. We also on Saturdays, Kelly, if you're interested in romance and love life, or a synastry chart, which is the combination of you and your partner put together, we do that for the show on Saturday. So we could do that as well. So just PM me. I'm on Facebook, or you can email at the R.I.F.T. So, and Mr. Odell explains that we do love charts on Saturday mornings on the Love Shack. I will need your birth information, time of birth, and place of birth. So that's kind of just a basic rundown on what we do. I'm trying to figure out if you use the old geometry tools like the protractor and other things when you print the map. Well, you would back in the olden days, Linda, but because the computer does it, Scribble Maps does it all on its own. You just have to take the mouse and draw it. But back in the old days, yeah, you would have to do that. You would have to look up everything by hand. Now the computer does it basically for us. Evening. But does anybody, you guys have any questions, or did I lose you? Keith, or did you get that, Keith? Keith will answer me and say, what the hell are you talking about? That's how we kept up with Cavalcante. So I think it's very interesting. I hope that answers how I do the charting. And like I said, of course, it's a study. I've studied astrology for many, many, many years. But this is my passion. This is my love. And as you know, I do work on missing persons cases. I have about 3 that I'm doing now. And if you do have somebody that's missing, please just PM me the information. It's a very good timestamp, if possible, when they last were on a phone call, when a last text was given out. When somebody called 911, as long as there is a time, we use that. And to be honest with you, it's as accurate. The mapping and the charting are as accurate for a missing persons case as the information that you give me. If you give me, look how we were dead spot on with Cavalcante. Why? because we used the camera. And so that time was just perfect. And it went to exactly where he was. He was always a step ahead of law enforcement. And now in his interview, he said he stayed alive for 2 weeks by watermelon that he would take from, I guess, a field, and drinking creek water. Again, he was almost stepped on 3 times. And each time we could probably go back to the mapping and see where he was at that time. So this would be a great tool for somebody like this. Again, I hesitated to send it to law enforcement because I had never done it. So I didn't want to send up a map that I wasn't sure was accurate. Now that I know how accurate the mapping process was, I will send it up immediately. And let's see. Okay, Keith, tasking, but listening. I have Scribble Maps pulled up now. We do use Scribble Maps. That's what we use, Scribble Maps. And the charts that we use are not natal charts. They are called event charts. There is a difference. So, for example, if we want to look at 9/11 or the JFK assassination, we would use an event chart for those. And yes, we can find out a lot of information from the event chart on anything. Actually, I was going to look up because they had just filmed Loch Ness Monster. I thought, what an event chart that would be to find out where Loch Ness is. We could map it, but we'd have to find out where she was when that picture was taken at that spot by the lake. But I think if I reached out to the girl that took the picture, she would probably answer me and send me a map. But wouldn't that be interesting to see what the event chart would say about Loch Ness? Of course, it would be Neptune. That's water. And again, I know Susan brought this up Saturday for ghost hunters. And if you guys are, I know it's not ghost hunting, but when you guys go out and do, your hunting, Neptune is represented for the ghost. So we could find out if the ghost was female or said they were female, because we can just look at the chart. Sure. So we put all the Bigfoot sightings together, we could get the first peeps to actually, yes, if we had a time of what time the Bigfoot sighting, the picture was actually taken and a location, absolutely we could track Bigfoot. It's kind of like what I did with Cavalcante. He's on the move. So absolutely we could do that to Bigfoot. We sure could. Have you ever looked at the astrology with some of the theories we aren't generally accepted for? Yes, I have looked at the Kennedy assassination. Yes. And I could put it up. I could do an entire show on it because we are mysteries here. I would love to show you those charts. They're very eye-opening. Eye-opening is the word. Because you have to remember, we use what's called mundane astrology. Mundane astrology is crime, or not true crime, but world events. When things happen, it's not a natal chart. So, for example, the 4th house in a mundane astrology chart is the homeland, the people of the homeland. The 1st house, like in the USA chart, is her appearance. The 10th house represents the ruler or the president. The 11th house represents Congress. So yes, absolutely, we could do all of those things. Astrology can do so much. I'd love to listen to it on that show too. We can do all of those things. I will do the JFK assassination. 9/11, working on the Maui fires, even as we speak, because there are still a lot of questions that have to do with the Maui fires. That's an event chart. Law enforcement would show up in the 10th house, FBI 10th house. The military is Mars. The sun represents the president or leader. The moon of a mundane astrology chart represents the people, how the people are feeling. So you can, when we had the lockdowns, what actually happened with the virus? There's charts for that. You can do anything with astrology. An astrology chart tells the story, but it gives us the key, the tools to go and do a map for missing persons. That's what I love and use it for. So I hope that answers questions. And Linda, it was fascinating to see how accurate it was, because like I said, I had never done it before. And so it was a new thing for me. And it was the accuracy was pretty mind-boggling. And like I said, it did show where he was eventually found, right up to where they found him. So I'll pull that up and put it in the slides for next week. And Miss Linda, it's really cool the computer does all that. I couldn't do it without the computer because I hate math, and I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I don't like math. But that's kind of like a 45-minute show of how forensic astrology works. It's not difficult. If you kind of know what you're looking for, your eye, after you do so many of these, your eye will go immediately to it. Saturn represents the body. The police are represented by the sun, or an older man by the sun. The 8th house is the house of death. Pluto can represent death. Saturn is where the body normally is. However, that's not a given. So the planets will tell us. And I think it's very interesting to know how accurate forensic astrology is. And I'll answer any questions. So send them to me. I hope that answered questions. And I hope you guys like that. And, thank you all so much for listening. We love what we do here at R.I.F.T. We're a family. And, we just appreciate you guys watching us so much. So please like, share, subscribe, go over to RNN on the Facebook page. It will keep up with all of the new shows and the current shows. And what else? Hopefully I'll see you guys on TikTok next week, because we're going to try to use TikTok. But if you missed any other shows, Spotify. So you guys have a great week. Thank you all for listening. And it's eclipse season. Remember, be kind to each other, because it's a wild eclipse season. So smile and be kind. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.